Hi everybody. Thank you very much for this interview. So let me start by the very important question. If I take the simple terms, economics in fact gives one perspective to understand the complex world we are living in. From a planetary perspective, humanity is always facing what we call a fundamental problem, which is scarcity, because the resources overall are finite. They are not definite, they are not infinite. So scarcity of resources, which are natural resources, for example, energy, water, air, financial, land, labor, human, information, knowledge, and time. For all these resources are very scarce, and then we need to, by construction, there is a limited supply. So scarcity means that we all want some goods and services and resources to continue living. And at a given point in time, supply is expected to be lower than the demand. And obviously there is a price for everything, but not yet for clean air and water rain, for example. Now, the importance of economic also lies in the understanding of the problem of this scarcity and how to solve equations such, for example, how to provide food, housing, healthcare, pensions, energy, transport, education, jobs for all, and taking also into account all types of vulnerabilities of our societies nowadays and even before, and the level of development, considering the different cycles and societal challenges we are confronted with. So basically, if we think about it, economics is central to our lives. Now, from this perspective, also economics tries to allow us to better understand how people, societies, and governments use resources, how to make economic decisions and respond to incentives, and to the conditions underlying the whole structures and so on. But then again, economics, it's also social science and humanity, of humanities as well. So it's really within this overall discipline. So it's centered on human and on people. But then we need to think of something quite important here, is that economic agents, stated previously, as I mentioned before, suffer from the asymmetry of information. And sometimes also there is the whole concept of adverse selection. So they simply lack the perfect information and also knowledge to make the optimal decisions and produce the best outcomes. So this is what I call part of the, what we call it, the bounded rationality principles. Now, which limits the rationalities of all economic agents in their decisions making and so on, because of the limitation of this information, as I mentioned before, the lack of knowledge, and also the time available to them to make the right decisions, without also forgetting what I call the brain cognitive capacity, because sometimes you are bounded by certain factors, which I call them, noise factors, which drives you away from the optimal decision making and so on. So contrary to what the myth of economic models is, that agents are rational and act to maximize their utility. Now, despite the inherent weaknesses of the economics discipline, we cannot deny the fact that as a discipline, it really tried to provide information, knowledge, tools to make much more informed decisions, much more informed than before probably, using data, evidence, developing specific models, framework to make legitimate predictions. And it allowed us to improve our understanding about trends, interpret, for example, headlines, and provide essential knowledge to make decisions. Sometimes those decisions, they ended up to be bad, but at least, you had some frameworks and you had some models to do that. So let me say something here is that economics alone as a discipline is not enough to assess the level of complexity we are living in, and also under asymmetry of information. And this asymmetry of information is bounding really the rationality for decision making and so on. So silos between disciplines, like for example, with political science, sociology, social psychology, and other disciplines in hard science and so on, must be overcome to bring to light more information and knowledge innovation necessary to understand the current challenges of our societies are facing globally and essential to make better decisions. So as I say, yes, it matters, but it's not enough.